Starting the 6200 two-wheel drive truck class, always a very exciting class. We saw Floyd Hilton yesterday afternoon. That would be Saturday afternoon, session 2. Floyd's toy number 2, the 81 Dodge Omni, always looking super out there in a wild paint scheme as his son Ed comes out there to help him back up to the sled. And Mike, the drivers in these funny cars and funny trucks can't turn around, or many of them can't turn around in the driver's seat, so they've got to have somebody out there to help back up to the sled.
That's right, Dave. In a lot of ways, it's just like drag racing when they make a burnout and someone comes down and guides the car back in the exact tracks that it left across the starting line. You want to back up to the center of the sled and get square and straight in front of it so that when you go to take off, that the sled doesn't try to take you one way or another. And that's why Ed's out there helping Floyd get backed up square with the front of the sled.
Running a 427 blown Chevrolet. Mike, we haven't talked about the amount of fuel, alcohol that you will run through a blown engine, let's say on a 240-foot track indoors. Any guess how much alcohol they burn through a motor?
Oh, I'd say they'd probably run 4 or 5 gallons of alcohol through the engine in one run. It takes a lot more alcohol, Dave, than it does gasoline to create the same amount of horsepower. But alcohol burns a lot cooler. And in fact, even though these engines don't have any kind of water or any type of coolant in them, as soon as it pulls over, if they let them idle for a moment, they'll just cool themselves right down.
And you'll hear that happen at the end of a run. So here we go now, starting the 6200 two-wheel drive truck on session number 4, the Indy Super Pull 14. Here he comes now. Floyd's toy number 2, making a good run with the 81 Dodge Omni. You'd never recognize this, though, as a Dodge Omni. Look at this, straight down the track.
Right down the middle.
And that's going to give Floyd Hilton a run of 2:10 and 7. Here's the truck they call Fast Forward. He has a series of Mr. Video shops. We're talking about Chuck Chitwood out of Lafayette, Tennessee, in a 1955 Chevrolet. This will bring back memories because, Mike, this was a very popular truck that Chevrolet put out. There were a lot of these produced, and you'll still find them around on the roads, and many of them have been customized.
Well, that is a good-looking old 55, isn't it?
Well, he's got a lot more power now in this truck than they had in 1955.
Just a little bit more.
Chuck Chitwood has pulled a lot this past season.
We've seen him up in Canada this summer, up at Warren Power's Pull at Inwood, Ontario.
And we've seen him at a lot of TNT-sanctioned events. So Chuck Chitwood out of Lafayette, Tennessee, trying to record a full pull. And here he comes now as he leaves the line, trying to make a smooth run. It's important that you leave the line smooth. And some of the guys will put the hammer down. He's got a lot of speed here, Mike.
Yeah, excellent run.
And he lifts right at the end of his run. Not a bad pull at all for Chuck Chitwood out of Lafayette, Tennessee, 55 Chevrolet. And his distance, 2:16 and 10.
Chuck.
All right, here's the other half of the In-Laws and the Outlaws backing up to the sled. This time, Dan Bieber doing the driving for Jim Brockman. And, of course, Bieber was also not allowed to come to the line on Saturday afternoon. But they're making up for it today. This is the 49 International Panel Van. And, Mike, this has the original nameplate in the truck that it came with. This truck was found basically as a piece of junk. They did a lot of patchwork on it. And it's a gorgeous-looking 49 panel van. However, they have not lengthened the wheelbase of this like they did the 41 Dodge. Basically, it has the same power plant in it, the big Aries. This is the truck that has been sold to a puller on the East Coast after this run here this afternoon. Here they come now, the In-Laws and the Outlaws, probably the most famous two-wheel drive pulling team in all of America. Dan Bieber sitting right in the middle of the truck. Good run, but he's going to come up a little short at 2:29 and 9.
Coming up now is Leo Kay from Bradford, Pennsylvania, with an 84 Corvette with a big Arius engine out in the front end.
And you can see the body sets high. There was some discussion by a number of the other pullers that thought it looked a little awkward. But when he runs down the track, it doesn't look particularly awkward, and he makes a lot of good pulls, I'll tell you, Mike.
Especially if you're behind it.
Got a brand new bus, we understand, a big motor coach that he likes to drive around the country. That'll be his new sleeping quarters, along with his tractor-trailer rig that holds the equipment. And he was out to the NTPA banquet in Las Vegas, drove the bus all the way out there. He enjoys pulling, the family sport for the entire family, and they just enjoy going around the country. This is how he gets his kicks when they're not drilling oil wells. Here he comes now, Leo K with the driller. He lifts, doing a big wheelie, very aerodynamic styled car. That Aries, and you can just see bouncing down there in that last.
Yeah, I think the clutch started to let go a little bit there towards the end. That caused the tires to slow down.
5 or 6 feet, he might have lost a foot or two in his pull. Leo K at 2:21 and 2. All right, here comes the professor, Wayne Roush, with the 1982 Little Red Dodge truck. Earlier, he had made a run and turned that pull down, so he's coming back now 6 positions later. Wayne Roush now with a 582 cubic inch Keith Black Chrysler Hemi. We've heard so much about the KBs over the years, especially in drag racing. However, they've never been as popular here in pulling, Mike, as we've seen in drag racing. Why is that?
Well, I really can't answer that question, Dave. The Keith Black Hemi is a solid aluminum racing engine like the Arius or the Rodex, only it is styled after a Chrysler Hemi. It's almost identical to a Chrysler Hemi.
All right, here he comes now, making a nice smooth run. This lengthened wheelbase this year has really helped a lot by putting a couple feet in there, and he's got a good run going down the track. Wayne has a brand new 1923 Model T pickup out on the circuit as well. It's not here at Super Pull 14, but you'll see it later on if you follow pulls around the country. Here's the distance for Wayne Roush. Sort of a disappointing 2:27 and 7. Well, he would have been the favorite on Saturday afternoon if they'd have been able to bring it to the line, but they didn't quite make it. So here we go now, the in-laws and the outlaws. They've already pulled Dan Bieber with the 49 International panel van, but here comes the truck, which they consider a little stronger truck. I think one of the reasons because of the lengthened wheelbase, this being the 41 Dodge, driven by Jim Brockman.
That's right, Dave. They lengthened the wheelbase out on this truck at the beginning of this season, and as we've said before many times, there's just no substitute for the leverage exerted on the longer wheelbase.
And at the same time, last year when they were here, they had the Rodex. Now they've got the Aries engines, and they consider a little bit more power.
Yes, I believe they do. They're a pretty stout motor.
All right, here we come now. Jim Brockman from New Haven, Indiana, just outside of Fort Wayne. He's on it. He's on it. Look at the speed he's got. He's wiggling around a little bit. He can raise that front end and still make good pulls. Look at him go. A full pull for Jim Brockman as he drops that front end down hard. What a beautiful paint job on that truck.
Really excellent run.
Panel van of Jim Brockman, our first full pull this afternoon. All right, here we go now. Gator Country, the Florida Cracker. Here's the 86 Ford pickup. And Mike Schneider, Chris Holdorf with his van and his pickup, basically running the same motor in each.
Yeah, he's running what they call an AR Ford. It's actually a 427 Ford, but it's built by Arius. And as we've mentioned before, this engine actually carries a Ford part number. You can go right to your Ford dealer and buy one just like it if your checkbook's big.
All right, now, okay. We're not talking about 427 cubic inches finally. It's got to be more cubes than that, isn't it?
Oh, I imagine it is. I'm not quite sure what the exact cubic inch is, but it's a super stout motor.
Look at this. Look at this. He's up on 2 wheels, bouncing it around, comes up a little bit short at 231 and 9, about 5 feet short of a full pull here in session number 4 at Indy Super Pull 14. Holdorf pulling back-to-back, and you talk about backs. Well, the rear end of that machine is quite a paint job, and everybody always likes to take a look at Chris Holdorf's 87 Ford Aerostar van out of Winter Park, Florida. He's already had some pretty good runs in the earlier 2-wheel drive class, and now he's got a shot at going for the lead here as well, but he needs a full pull to tie Jim Brockman's distance. So Chris Holdorf, and it was last summer, if I remember, when they brought out the Ford Aerostar up at Cayuga, Canada, that NTPA Grand National event.
You don't see too many Aerostars with a wheelbase like that one has.
No, you know, I love the aerodynamics, although I don't think they have to worry about the aerodynamics during tractor and truck pulling. Here he comes off the line. Look at this.
Pretty good-sized gator on the side of it.
Boy, I guess it is. I don't think they've got any gators that big in the whole state of Florida. Here he comes now. You can see he's sitting right there and behind the engine. And he makes a full pull, barely getting it out the gate. A full pull for Chris Holdorf. All right, here's Chuck Johnson out of Hallowell, Kansas, with a 76 Chevy Love. We saw him pull on Saturday afternoon in session number 2.
Yeah, he was our test puller Saturday afternoon in Shazam.
Probably the most beautiful paint job in the entire class. So this just goes to show you that you can take an older model truck. This is a 73 Chevy Love, and if you got a stout motor that you can put in there and you can build a nice body, you can have a lot of fun. This is the only vehicle that the Johnsons pull. He used to pull a twin-engine dragster tractor in the 5,000 and 7,000 pound class for many, many years out in Kansas, but he felt that the future, at least in his part of the country, was in the two-wheel drive trucks. Now he makes a nice, smooth start. He starts to lift now. Here again, he's got the lengthened wheelbase as well. He comes up. Boy, that's a smooth run. And, you know, we've seen so many great runs by all of the pullers. The distance for Chuck Johnson, missing a pull-off by about 4 feet at 2:31 and 11. Here's the truck they call Bushwhacker, the Chicken Man, for those that follow TNT tractor and truck pulling. This was built by Humco Machine in northeastern Ohio. And here comes Terry Rodabush now. Terry Rodabush didn't have a particular good run in the lighter weight two-wheel drive class. Terry Rodabush from Hanoverton, Ohio, same place where Dave Haley, the former president of NTPA, is from. This is a 73 Chevrolet Bushwhacker, good-looking truck.
I think Terry's pulled in this two-wheel drive class ever since its inception a few years ago.
And has always been very, very consistent. Well, we see that we're getting the truck hooked up just right. The green light comes on, and here he comes off the line after getting the green flag from the starting flagman. Terry Rodabush on his way. He's got a good run going here, Mike Schneider.
Yeah, not too bad. Looked like he might have been just a tad heavy on the front end there to begin with. The front end was kind of dropping back on the track.
A little bit of smoke there at the rear. He didn't burn those tires at the back, did he, Mike?
Oh, not really. Just past the finish line, the track is extremely hard. Of course, that's really not part of the track anymore, you know, because it's past the finish line. But they leave it that way so it doesn't get tore up. And I don't know, sometimes it kind of keeps you from having too many full pulls.
All right, Terry Rodabush's distance as we get another look at it here, 2:32 and 1. He comes about 4 feet from the end of making a full pull. Ken Lamont from Crossville, Illinois, won the lightweight class. Remember, Mike, in spectacular fashion, he won that 5,800, last guy in the class, made the great run, and won it. But, boy, he's got to make a full pull here today. This afternoon, the 1985 El Camino, and this is about the only El Camino that I know of on the circuit. Absolutely gorgeous machine, the Midnight Express.
He's got his work cut out for him this afternoon, no, Dave.
Yeah, I do believe. Got one of the biggest motors of the class. He used to run an injected motor in this truck before he went to the supercharged engine and moved up with the big boys. And, boy, he's been tough ever since.
That's right. I guess when Ken first started pulling, he pulled single-cylinder garden tractors many years ago.
Midnight Express leaving the line up a little high on the wheelie to begin with. And now he's getting real sky high, losing the draw bar, losing the pull down from the sled, and is going to bounce to a halt at 2:28 and 4, far off the pace of what he recorded earlier in the lightweight class the day before. Here's Nolan Hall now, leaving the line out of Mason, Michigan, the 1985 Ford Ranger called the Lone Ranger. And he's got a good run going. Everybody's a very professional driver in this class. Nolan Hall, though, going to come up short for the 85 Ford at 2:16 even. So now we go to the pull-off. It'll be between Brockman and Holdorf. It'll be between Dodge and Ford, and it'll be a knockdown, drag-out battle. Well, Jim Brockman was sort of sad yesterday, Mike, but now he's got to be happy. He's in the pull-off. He's looked very good today with his 41 Dodge, and this is where he wanted to be. Remember, it was he and his son that did so well before here at Super Pull when they won both classes, and they've been tough ever since. Remember, he's a former champion in the mini rod NTPA classes. He didn't feel a couple of years ago there was a bright future in the mini rods. He said, I'm going to have to make a change. It's been a change for the better. He's won a lot of money, won a lot of pulls, been very consistent. And I'll tell you, here's one of the top candidates in America today for a major sponsorship. He's a professional at whatever he does. Here he comes now. This is the pull-off, ladies and gentlemen. He's on his way, the 41 Dodge. The in-laws and outlaws letting it all hang out as the weight box comes up just about all the way to the front. Let's take a look at the distance as it comes in on the laser now. In the pull-off, Brockman's distance to beat, 2:22 and 6. And now there is only one left in the class, Mike. Chris Holdorf out of Winter Park, Florida. If he keeps his mind on it, and maybe with a little bit of coaching help from some of those tractor pullers, he's got a chance to pull it out. He's got to beat 2:22 and 6, though. He's got to let it all hang out with this Aerostar 87 van. Here he goes, a perfect run. The front end is up just high, but he's over to the right-hand side of the track, losing valuable footage, and he winds up about 8 feet short at 2:14 and 4. Brockman will finish number 1. Chris Holdorf will finish number 2. Terry Rodabush fails to make the pull-off, but finishes number 3 at 2:32 and 1. Number 4 goes to Chuck Johnson of Hallowell, Kansas at 2:31 and 11. And number 5, Chris Holdorf's 85 Ford pickup truck out of Winter Park, Florida, 2:31 and 9. Once again, a very competitive class in the 6200 two-wheel drive. Up next, the Monsters of the Midway. The third and final class of session number 4 at Indy Super Pull 14, the 11,000-pound unlimited, all the horsepower they can put in a tractor.
Jim Brockman, a real class guy. You won't find him any better than this one right here, ladies and gentlemen. Winning the Sunday afternoon two-wheel drive heavyweight class. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you, Dave.
And Jim also winning the Kendall Pit Awards here for an absolutely gorgeous Pit Awards in the Expo Hall.
Yeah, that's my wife's doing. She got real hot into the balloons and came up with a spiral theme and worked out real good.